In this video, we're going to go over repairing the G.I. Joe killer whale. Going to go over the history, fabricate some replacement parts, make some repairs, paint it, and then take a look at the finished toy. In 1966, the U.S. Army deployed hovercraft called the Patrol Air Cushion Vehicle to Vietnam, where they were used by the Navy for riverine patrol missions. Often called PAC-Vs, they were used to prevent the Viet Cong from infiltrating tidal areas along the river mouths and deltas in the area. What made the PAC-V really special and attractive to the military was that it was really useful in shallow and marshy areas where all their other patrol boats couldn't really go. And you can see this is a very futuristic looking vehicle, so this kind of design would work perfectly for a G.I. Joe boat or ship. And so that's what we got, the G.I. Joe killer whale. Here you can see it, storming the beaches. What's great about it is it could work both on the land and the water. So it was almost like a tank and a boat. So it kind of, beat the moray because it could go up on the land, and, beat the Hiss tank or the Mauler or the Mobat because it could go in the water. And you would see the killer whale in the comics and in the cartoons. In the comics, the Joes were always like running down, like here, Snake Eyes running down the dock, jumping on board the, jumping on the whale and going out to sea, which is kind of interesting because these things are better, I think, like more inland than out at sea. But here in the cartoon, you could see they jumped over a torpedo, which is kind of funny because, it was a hovercraft, so it's not actually in the water, so the torpedo probably would have gone under it anyway. But, it's taken out a moray here. The Joes definitely added some more firepower to it. It's got like the big cannons on the side, but it does have the two machine gunners with like 50 cals or something like that, and the rocket launchers too, which really ups the firepower from the one the U.S. Army had in Vietnam. So I had one of these as a youngster, so I thought it'd be cool to get one again. The prices now are a little bit more. They were like $25 back then, but I thought let's get a beat up one and try to fix it up and do some repairs. So I ended up winning this auction that was about $75 with shipping. I would have liked to, found one a little bit cheaper, but compared to some of them, which were complete, going for $150 or $200, I thought this was pretty good. It had most of the glass. It had most of the little guns and little pieces and stuff like that. And when I opened it up, when I received it, I found some goodies inside. So that was nice. There was actually a Canon, and I think there was a Roadblock 50 cal gun in there. So that was kind of neat. So taking it apart and then kind of bagging all the pieces was the first thing, getting the screws out, getting all the different components that were still good put away, and then kind of looking over the vehicle. So the shrouds in the back had been hot glued on real badly, so that needed to be fixed. And it was also dirty and just kind of gross. I don't know, like where it had been kept. You never know when you get these used vehicles, if mice were living inside it or what, but you can see there's like a lot of grime and gook, so maybe it was in a shed or something like that. But overall, there were like no cracks or anything like that, which was important. So, just got some soap on it, scrubbed it up, washed it down in the sink, and, the plastic looked really good. So next step was kind of figuring out what I was going to fabricate. So the three pieces I really wanted to do were the little wheels. It was missing a bunch of those. I had it to make the caps for the Canon. I was missing one of those, and also the caps that hold the Canon on. I needed to make those, so I went into the 3D software and just modeled some of those things. This is the wheel, the little rollers that go down underneath, and it's important that these work well because when you do take it on land, you want it to be able to roll around, and they're kind of like almost like a shopping cart kind of wheel. So the next piece was the holders for the cannons. So they were a little bit more difficult. The shape was kind of more interesting, and had to make sure that it matched real accurately in a bunch of different dimensions. Also wanted to reproduce the detail so it matched up with the real version of it. And then there's the cap of the Canon, which was a pretty easy shape to reproduce. After that, it was 3D printing these, which they turned out really well. I didn't have to do, I don't think, any iteration on this, which worked out great. So then just taking the 3D print, putting it under the UV light to cure it, and then after testing it, just taking it outside and putting some paint on it, so that it would match the color of the whale. I didn't get it to match perfectly. The G.I. Joe vehicles are very like specific colors, and the whale is sort of like a desaturated green, where what I was using was a more army kind of green. That's why I think I'm using the olive drab, the AS6 from Tamiya. Tamiya makes great rattle can paint that is almost like, it feels like you're using an airbrush. And there you can see how it matches up. So you can see on the right is the reproduction one, so it's a little more green than that kind of like more gray kind of green that's in the real toy. But still, I was pretty happy. The shape matched up pretty good, and when you see it in person, it looks really good, and so good enough for me. And then the Canon holders, they worked really well. The tolerances seemed good, so it's tight enough to where you can elevate and move the Canon around and it'll hold in place. So that was nice. And then I popped the wheels in. Those I just sprayed black so they'd fit in with the hull and stuff, and they worked pretty good and looked pretty good. And here's taking it for a test drive, so shoving it around the floor, and it seems to be rolling pretty good in all directions. I was real happy with it. It didn't squeak, or none of the wheels seemed to bend or deflect or anything like that, moving them around. And then here's a quick test of the Canon. It fell a little bit there, but it holds its position pretty well, and so I was really happy with that and how everything looked. You can see I'm still missing some other pieces, so some I decided I wasn't gonna bother 3D printing and trying to reproduce, and I just try to pick up pieces to replace those missing parts. For the shrouds, the tabs were broken on the bottom, so I elected just to hot glue them the way they'd come before, but try to do a finer job of that. And I find hot glue is just like an awesome adhesive for this kind of application, and it just holds really well. And then pop the fans in, it looks really good. I didn't make the steering vanes. I just kind of got lazy and thought it looked fine without those, so at some point I might make those. I really want to make an RC version of this, and that's when I might make those steering vanes and kind of like work out a mechanism for them. So we'll see where that goes. But there were a few other pieces I bought. So this was about $9 for the inner part of the drawbridge kind of thing. Then it didn't come with any missiles, so I had to pick those up. So that's another, like, was that $14 here? And then the glass, I couldn't 3D print that or reproduce that in any way, so bought that for another $5. So, those little pieces that don't come with your original purchase, they add up pretty quickly. This was like another $30 in little, pieces just for those 3 pieces. So, definitely something to keep in mind. But, some of the original pieces, if you can get them, they're just not going to be easy to reproduce or make in a in kind of like a timely and efficient kind of way. So overall, I was really excited with how this came out. I think I ended up with, really great looking whale that I can put my figures on, and they can set sail and go out to sea, take out some morays, deal with Cobra, and then dock up with the tactical battle platform. I really like starting with these kind of, beaten up or not perfect vehicles, and then repairing them myself, or kind of bringing them back to life. It just feels really good, and it feels like too I can use this this whale and put it in the water, or play around with it. The mechanism still works. So I forgot to put the sled. I did have to buy a sled, and that was like $10 or something. So there's another piece I had to buy. And it's got the, I got the motorcycle too. That was probably another like 15. So maybe you're better off just buying a full one. I don't know. But I just have fun, like, fixing the things. The mechanism on this, oh man, I remember as a kid using that. And it's just such a beautifully designed thing. The way those depth charges just feed into the launcher. And this came with a bunch of the depth charges. So that was great. It's just an amazing vehicle. I think a lot of us just love this vehicle. And I'm so glad I was able to, take this one and bring it back to, operational status. And now it's a part of my G.I. Joe Navy. Thanks for checking out our video. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope we'll see you in the next video. Yo, Joe.